Mini skirt on, take my body in glitter. Platform sneakers, all the boys want a picture. Two foreign cars, I make rich look richer. Save your breath, baby, I'm not going home with ya. Mini skirt on, take my body in glitter.
Hello. You're now tuned into the A Little Bit A Lot podcast. I'm your host, Kristen. Welcome back. It's another great week, and we're here to slay the day. I don't know why I always say that, but it's like, that's so, I feel like 2014 to be like, slay, but that's just how I feel. Like, here to slay the day, it just makes me feel like, yeah, like, the day's gonna be good. You know what I mean? But yes, how are you guys doing? This week has been a good week. Work has been a little bit stressful. Lots of, changes going on with like PTO and such. That's just never a good thing when you change policies on like how people can use PTO and things like that. Lots of work meetings. She's been a busy working corporate girly, but we're not here to talk about that. This week, we're just going to jump straight in with, first of all, reminding you guys at the top of the episode to go like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. And if you're on Spotify, go ahead and rate the podcast 5 stars and hit that follow button on Spotify so that way you're keeping up to date with the podcast. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, make sure you go ahead and rate that 5 stars and leave a review to let me know how you feel about the show. So now that everything's been out the way, this week we are going into a new segment. I know this has been like super popular on TikTok, and I'm like, oh my God, like I have to jump into the world of Am I the Asshole? The stories that are on Reddit are just unreal. Like, sometimes you just wonder, like, are these stories real? Like, I don't know. It's just crazy. And I had no idea. Like, when I was looking on the Reddit thread last night, there was like 52,000 people active at the time. So I'm just like, what? And I really feel like it's just like people that are like seeking validation. So we're going to try to see if we can give these folks the validation that they deserve or don't deserve. Again, I'm not a professional of any kind. I don't even really know what even qualifies me to even clarify and like put that stamp on if these people are assholes or not. But I don't know. I would, you know what? No, I take it back. I would say that I am qualified because I've been seeing a licensed therapist, and I feel like I know a little bit about a little something. And if you're wondering about the background for the people that are on YouTube, the bats, I'm trying to be festive, keep these bat decorations up for the visual watchers, but the bats keep falling. Bats 1, Kristen 0. I can't keep fighting with it. It feels like every day I'm over here trying to stick the bats back up. My coworker suggested a different type of tape that I'm going to try to see about because, oh my God, like the little stickies that come with it aren't doing what they need to do. But anyways, let's jump straight into Am I the Asshole? That's the theme of today's episode. I thought it would just be a quick little fun, lighthearted moment for us to get into because I've never jumped into the world that is Reddit threads. So I screenshotted a few last night just to see how it goes. So let's jump straight in. So the first one is pretty interesting. This one says, am I the asshole for refusing to say thank you when my kids do what they're supposed to do? This is ridiculous. I will keep it short. My son wants to get a thank you when he does what he's supposed to do. Like, if he puts the dishes away and came up and told me, I say, okay. And he told me I should show some gratitude for doing it. He keeps doing it. He makes his bed, takes his laundry downstairs, all of it, turning in his homework, doing his chores that I pay him for. We got into a huge argument about it, and he thinks I'm an ass. My husband also got into an argument about it, and he thinks showing appreciation is good, and it would be nice to give a thank you when he takes out the trash. I blew up and listed everything that I do where I get 0 thanks, and I don't expect it since it literally needs to get done. They aren't talking to me. I came here to see if I'm crazy. This one's kind of controversial. It's got 241 upvotes and 761 comments. Okay, so the people are feeling some type of way. Honestly, I would say that this lady is the asshole in the situation because, like, one thing about me, I hate when a parent acts like this. Like, girl, I understand you're talking about, doing his chores I'm supposed to pay him for. But let's, like, dive deeper into this. Because at this point, even though I don't have any other context about this, it's just having, like, the specific type of family members that I've had, in the past. I just feel like a lot of, like, older boomers kind of have this mentality where it's like, it's my house, I pay the bills, you're worthless, I shouldn't have to owe you anything, you should be bowing down to me, I'm the king or the queen of the house, yada yada. And it's just like almost acting like the kids are just not deserving of, like, any type of appreciation at all. And I feel like that's not really fair. Like, they love to just be like, well, you're supposed to do it. But a lot of the comments were saying, and I kind of agree with it, where it was like, okay, well, I have a partner, and whenever I come home and the partner does the dishes, I still say thank you. Or some lady said that she had been married for 40 years, and her husband still show appreciation for doing things that need to be done, because at the end of the day, it's just nice. Like, it's just nice to be able to, see that you're being appreciated by somebody that you love and you care about. And I feel like maybe this is the son's, like, way of doing, like, a cry for help. Like, he's maybe showing that he just wants some type of affection from the parent on a deeper level. And it may not even just be about, like, say thank you to me when I do chores. You might want to talk to your son to see, like, I don't know, judging by the way that this person is typed, it almost just seems like they're kind of cold, and, like, maybe the child is not having their needs met when it comes to their emotional needs. So at this point, is it even really about saying thank you for the chores, or is it just that the kid wants to feel loved? I don't know. That's just where my mind goes to when it comes to stuff like this, because a lot of the times kids aren't really the greatest at expressing their needs because they're kids. Okay? And I feel like a lot of times, adults and boomers forget this. They're just children. And, like, they're worthy of, like, respect too. So this one was kind of a doozy when I read it. It's like, and then you're turning around saying that, oh, I take out the trash and I do stuff. What did she say? And I blew up and listed everything I do where I get zero thanks and I don't expect it. It kind of sounds like you want the same thing then. Like, it's giving hypocritical, girl. Like, it kind of sounds like you also want to be appreciated. But because you aren't, then it's like, oh, everybody has to suffer and be miserable. And I hate somebody that has that type of mentality. Like, that's aggy. So yeah, this lady is 100% the asshole in this situation. Let me know in the comments if you guys agree, because yikes. Wouldn't want this lady as a parent. Moving on. Next situation. Am I the asshole for telling my mom and sister that they need therapy and I won't be there in between anymore? As the title says, I, 28 female, have been in between for my mom, 48 female, and sister, 22 female. So the sister is 28 and the other sister is 22 and the mom's 48 for the past few months. It has gotten to the point where I can't really stay impartial, as it feels like they're both trying to push me to side with them. I told them that I can't keep doing this, as I have my personal stress on my own and I can't keep adding to this. And they need to get therapy together instead of asking me to act as a peacemaker. Wow. Anyway, as I was talking to a couple of my other siblings, they commented that as the oldest, I should be working to keep the family together, and that it was rude of me to suggest therapy instead of meditating or mediating. What? Okay, I know the last one, the lady was the problem, but in this situation, girl, you are not the asshole. Like, you are not the problem. Like, there is nothing wrong with establishing boundaries when it comes to family issues. I think that that's something that my family on my mom's side definitely needs to work on. Oh my God. Like, but on a personal note, I've even been working on like establishing boundaries when it comes to just anybody in my life. Like, there is nothing wrong with that. And I just feel like it's so toxic for the siblings to say that she was being rude for suggesting therapy instead of mediating. Like, I feel like, again, not to keep throwing shade at boomers, but I just feel like that's kind of a boomer mentality where it's like that's been passed on down to generations where families feel like therapy is just so wrong and, oh, we don't want anybody in our business. We don't need to tell anybody, about what's going on in our family. This should not lie on the oldest sibling. Just because she is the oldest sibling doesn't mean it's her responsibility. Technically, it's the mother's. You're the one that chose to have children, but then you want your children to parent the other parents and on top of that, even parent you? Girl, get lost. L mom. Big L. Because that's just whack. Like, I don't really personally have respect for parents who put all of that pressure on their children. And I know that, like, for a while, even my little sister kind of felt that way when me and my mom weren't really seeing eye to eye after the divorce and stuff. There was a lot of adjusting to get used to, and she didn't like being thrown in the middle of things and express that. It's like, it's the same situation with this. Like, it's just not nice. It's not nice to put your siblings in the middle of drama. And I think that people really sleep on the fact that family therapy can be a good thing. Like, it seems like the mom and the sister have a lot that they need to get through, and I don't see why therapy would be a bad thing for them in this situation. So it's like, no, you got to worry about you. And I understand that the people pleaser inside of you feels so incredibly guilty about not prioritizing them over your own needs. But it comes a time where, like, she's 28. It gets kind of iffy during that age. You're about to be 30. You want to be able to come into your own person, but then you still feel responsible for things that are going on at home. It is time for you to live your own life. If they feel some type of way, they feel some type of way. You got to do what's best for you. And overall, I think suggesting this is best for them to hash out their own issues. So, no. She's not the one in the wrong in this situation. Seriously. That's messed up. Okay. Moving on to the next one. This one says, would I be the asshole if I refuse to take my friend to work anymore? I, 21 female, and my friend Ashton's, 21 male, ride to and from work every day. It's an hour-long walk, and he's been walking to work before I offered to even be his ride. The only condition is that he pay me for gas. Okay, that's valid. So the first little while was fine. I took him home from work. I brought him lunch every day for 2 weeks, and I brought him home. And every time I ask him to pay for lunch, he says that he isn't able. I did the math with him. He makes more than I do and pays fewer bills than I do and still refuses to pay for food or gas. It's been almost 2 months now, and he still won't pay me a dime. I stopped buying him food. Would I be the asshole if I stopped taking him to work too, since he won't pay me for gas either? He safely owes me like $1,000 and refuses to pay it back. He just consistently says, even on payday or the day after payday, quote, money's kind of tight right now, quote. And it's kind of pissing me off. He even claims that he paid me. He makes jokes like, if we don't do this, I'm not going to pay you for gas anymore. And when I asked him to show me where the F he paid me a dime for anything, he sheepishly said, oh yeah, you're right. I haven't paid. Girl, no, you are not in the wrong in this situation. I have been in that situation too, where I literally had to stop taking coworkers home as well. So I know that like the people pleaser inside of you wants to keep doing it, but it's an inconvenience for you. I applaud you. It seems like you have a heart of gold. This person has a heart of gold because, first of all, I wouldn't have never even been buying this person lunch to begin with. Like, the lunch is out. I would have just been doing the bare minimum and taking them to work. But then on top of that, you're buying them lunch. That's crazy. You would never catch me doing that. So honestly, I understand in this situation it's your friend and not like some random coworker like it was for me. Like I remember one time my manager, she had to take the bus to work, and then after work when we closed, the bus wasn't running anymore, so I would have to take her home. She gave me gas, but then there was a couple of other coworkers who wouldn't. I had to stop that altogether and just be like, oh dang. Whenever they'd be like, oh, I don't know how I'm gonna get home. Oh, like what do you want me to say? You like, ugh, I just know that it feels so awful. I know it feels awful not being able to ideally help others, but in this situation, no, you are not in the wrong. Like, he's seriously playing in her face, talking about some, I'm not gonna pay you gas anymore. And then when she says, well, you don't, he's like, oh, you're right. That, like, see, that's just when it gets to the point where it's like, okay, now we're being petty boots because you're really playing right now. Like, you have never paid me. And the fact that he's racked up $1,000 when it comes to gas and food for all of these months that you've been helping this person, and they still haven't given you a dime, and on top of that they make more than you. No, you're not in the wrong. Like I said, I've been in that position and I had to establish boundaries and tell myself I'm not taking people home anymore. On top of that, it wasn't a safe situation for me. Like, I was a young woman in a pretty much unsafe area. We literally worked 2 doors down from a motel where they literally were always doing drugs and stuff like that. So I wanted to be able to just jump in my car, get home as soon as possible. And then you want me to take you to the trenches, to your cribbo? I'm sorry, I can't do that, sweetie. Like, it's a no. And I know at the end of the day, people are going to feel mad at you. But, oh well, your problem is not other people's problems. I mean, I'm sorry. Other people's problems are not your problem. Like, that's their problem that they don't have transportation. So if they're upset at you, they should really be mad at themselves. Seriously. Like, what? That's insanity. That's just a seriously messed up situation. So, no, I don't think that this person is the asshole in the situation. Don't feel bad for not wanting to take people home, okay? Because I deaded it a long time ago. All right, next story. Am I the asshole for how I reacted to my friend's death? Oh my God. Who knows? This one might be crazy. I don't even think I read this one all the way through when I saved it last night. It says, 19 female. I'm 19 female. Recently, my best friend, 20 female, died very suddenly. So they're only a year apart. Wow. I don't want to get into it, but it was unexpected and we were extremely close. I found out over the phone. Her mom and I have each other's numbers. She's been living away from home for school in the same city as me. And she was at home when it happened. Okay, so she must have been on break or something. So the mom called her. Her mom called me to break the news and I just broke. Oh. It was mid-afternoon and I just started screaming. I can't even begin to express the agony I feel. It's just effing unfair. I was just screaming and crying and I felt like I was going to die from how bad my chest hurt. I passed out at one point, I think. I really don't know. My flatmates and I, they're both friends of mine and they were at home at the time. Obviously, they came running in asking what's wrong, but I don't remember much of what happened. I blacked out basically and woke up in the hospital. My friends called an ambulance for me because I was so effed up. After the initial panic died down for everyone, people started messaging me condolences after finding out what happened, and I didn't reply or read any. They didn't know my friend, so it seemed hollow. Now people are angry at me. My flatmates said that I reacted extremely dramatically, and I was wrong for making them worry so much. Our other friends semi-agreed and said that I took it too far. Oh my God. I'm just numb. My mom came and picked me up to take me to my hometown yesterday, and I can't stop thinking about it all. I know I can't control my reaction, but now I feel guilty every time I want to cry or vomit or do anything because I feel like maybe I am overreacting or trying to make this about me. Am I the asshole for reacting so strongly? Sorry for the lack of details. My head is so scrambled right now. If anyone needs details and they're not too awful, I'll share in the comments. Thanks. Oh my God. That's a deep situation. But I just feel so bad for this person. Like, she said her best friend died suddenly. You guys are only a year apart. This person was so young, 20 years old. My condolences go out. Well, I don't even know. I'm not even going to say I take it back because she just said she didn't really like them because it seemed hollow because they didn't know that person, which I do get. Like, I've never been in a situation where I've been actively grieving somebody that's like super close to me, but I can imagine like how that feels when people say that and they give you your well wishes and at the time you're still struggling with it and you're like, please get the frick. Like, you might not even want to hear the I'm sorry's, rest in pieces, because they didn't know that person. So I get it, but that is seriously so sad, and especially with the fact that that friend, you both live away from home and you live in the same city together, and that's your best friend, but then your roommates were like, we're mad at you because you reacted extremely dramatically, and they're saying that she's in the wrong for making them worry so much. What the heck? What? Like, no, you're not wrong. Everybody grieves in their own way and everybody has their own reactions, and especially the fact that this is your best friend. Like, no, I do not think that this person is quote unquote trying to make this about themselves, like she said, and she shouldn't be made to feel guilty every time she wants to cry. That is so awful. That is so awful. And any of the friends I feel that are making her feel bad about this, she's gonna really have to really look into herself after she kind of gets better, to rethink, like, are these even people that I want in my life? Because now it's getting to the point where your best friend has passed. You realize that life is so short. Why spend it with people that I don't want to be around? And it's like, I've lost a lot of friends, not by death, obviously, but I've lost a lot of friends that I've had to cut people off, because you do realize, like, I'm only on this planet for so long. Why spend it being around people that I don't really like or that don't make me feel good about myself? And if they're gonna react this way and make this person feel awful for a seriously so sad situation that they have every right to be upset about because that was their best friend, you don't need to be around these people anymore. Okay, I understand if it's like the roommates, you can't really get around that too much unless you like move out. But she mentioned like their other friends semi agree. Like, oh my gosh, like, I understand when people are like, oh, you overreacted when it comes to like other little petty like drama in life or something like that, but when it comes to losing a best friend, that is so insensitive and horrible for you to try to tell somebody how they should react. Like, huh? And I'm really glad that this person's mom like came to get her to take her back to her home, because that would probably feel so isolating to like still be in that environment where those friends are like judging you, and then you can't even like cry to sleep at night without feeling guilty about it. So it's like you may as well be taken out of that environment and go to a safe space at home with your mom. So that's a good thing. But like, no, I personally don't think that this person is in the wrong, and I think that the friends are in the wrong. Like, oh, I just hate that. I used to have a friend that would always try to like tell me how I'm supposed to react to certain situations, and if I didn't react the same way, this is like in first grade, by the way, she'd be like, no, like, we're not friends anymore. Just because I told you to stop, now all of a sudden you don't want to be friends with me? Like, girl, like, no, that's too much. What the heck? No, yeah, that's just so sad. It's so unfair. And it's like the way that she's describing the feeling, screaming and crying, she felt like she was going to die from how bad my chest hurt, and that she passed out and had to go to the ambulance. That is totally understandable. She probably had an anxiety attack. And sometimes when you're having a panic attack, you can tend to pass out or disassociate. Trauma is a real thing, and the brain's response to that trauma and that hurt and that pain, sometimes you really can't control that, because at the end of the day, your brain is going to do what it needs to do to protect you. So sometimes people do disassociate or they black out and they do need medical attention. Given the fact that she's going through something that is extremely traumatizing, I don't think that this is like a crazy reaction. Like, situations like this just make me so upset, because I just can't stand people who are just so insensitive and make people feel bad for being themselves, especially given such a horrible situation. Like, where's the sensitivity? Where's the compassion? What is up with these people? And I understand they're only like 19, so it's like they're basically kids. They don't really care sometimes about being considerate of others. You know, at that age, you're usually selfish. So it's like, to a certain extent, I can get why the friends are being such jerks. Because a lot of times, when you're that age, you can be a jerk. But, ugh, I'm glad she got out of there. Anyway, I think that's enough for now. I pretty much gathered those few stories just for like an introduction into Am I the Asshole Reddit. I feel like that was pretty interesting. I could go into like a whole nother episode, like reading more stories, because I've just realized like how fascinating the world of Reddit threads are. Like, it gets crazy in there, and especially like the ones that I see on TikTok, like the long stories that are like intricate. Whoa. So let me know if you guys like want me to continue to read these stories, and we can be like, basically like jury duty. Is this person guilty or not guilty? Because I love that. I love being in that position where I can be the one to decide. Yeah, so we're gonna move into our next segment. Favorite thing of the week. Favorite thing of the week. Favorite thing of the week. This week's favorite thing for me is Disney on Ice. Oh my goodness. I went to go see Disney on Ice this past weekend with my sister. And for a while I was kind of like judging myself, because I'm like, wow, like, what does that say about me? Like, I'm super childish for wanting to go see Disney on Ice. But when I talked about it in therapy, of course, she was just like, no, I mean, there's Disney adults. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. And I think more importantly, the reason why I really wanted to go was because I love ice skating. Like, growing up, my sister and my mom and I, we would always watch like the ice skating competitions and stuff. And I am like so fascinated with the sport. Like, the way the ice skaters can just glide and move and groove on that ice is crazy. Like, I've always wanted to be an ice skater girly down. Like, even though growing up I used to just do like rollerblading, I never got to try ice skating, because I would just always get too much into my head, because for some reason I feel like it's harder. I don't know if it is, but it just seems like it is. And then you got those sharp blades. Can that cut somebody? I don't know, but I feel like I would end up being in a situation, as clumsy as I am, to somehow end up cutting myself. I don't know. It seems dangerous. But nonetheless, we wanted to go see Disney on Ice. They had like 3 shows, one at 11, 3 and 7, and we went to the 3:00 show. And oh my God, at first we almost didn't make it, because my sister had like kind of a rough morning. But in the end, I'm just like, girl, no, like, we got that sister power. I'm going to make sure that you're safe. We can do what we got to do together. As long as we're together, we can do anything. So come on, let's go and let's have fun, because I done already paid for the tickets, parking, and filled up on gas the day before. So we're not going to let this go to waste. And my boyfriend couldn't go with me because he had a funeral to go to. So, and then when I talked about it in therapy too, my therapist is like, well, you could have gone by yourself. And like, now she wants me to like get into being comfortable with myself. And it's like, I get that. I understand. But Like, why would I want to go to this event on my own? Like, when at the end of the day, there's going to be like mostly kids there. Like, I don't want to go by myself. But yeah, in the end, we went and it was like so fun. We got to see like the Little Mermaid. They had Beauty and the Beast, Encanto, Frozen. I would have to say the Frozen one was the best because they had like the fake snow coming down. Queen Elsa saying "Let It Go." The props were beautiful. They did Tangled. I mean, I'm trying to think of like what other movies they did that I'm missing out. I think that's pretty much it. But yeah, like I said, I'd never been since I was young. And I think I got like row 7 or 8 or something like that from the floor. So I was like super close. And the views were beautiful. Like, the skaters did such a good job. The costumes were incredible. Like, Ariel, Little Mermaid, you got Flounder, this guy in a Flounder costume. I'm just over here thinking, like, how can they see? How are they able to see out of that? Like, I don't know. I feel like these people were like miracle workers, because how can you skate with this bulky freaking costume on and still entertain the kids? It's impressive to me. Like, it just makes me respect these show people so much more. I mean, then in Kanto, you've got like, what's her name? Isabella. He told me that the man of my dreams. She's literally came from the sky. I'm like, girl, where'd you come from? You're coming down. Like, I didn't think it was going to be that intricate. The props, the costumes were beautiful. Like, 10 out of 10 would recommend. I feel like it's an okay show for adults as well as children. So, if you got Disney on Ice in your local area one of these days, I think it's worth checking out. The kids that we sat around were, well behaved. Nobody was screaming. Nobody was fussing. Everybody was just having a good time, good energy, good vibes. And I had to get a snack. A 5-meat treat super slice with a cherry icy. I was set. I had my pizza. I had my drink. And I'm chilling. And I'm just really just taking it in, because it's like, there's nothing wrong with doing things like for your inner child. And like, no matter how old you get, you shouldn't feel like you have to limit yourself from having like new experiences. So for me, it was kind of just like a full circle moment where I'm just like, oh my God, like, I'm just proud of myself. I feel like not being too hard on myself about this being like more so for kids and just coming. Because then I saw like other adults that kind of just came by themselves too. So that was like a cool moment. So yeah, favorite thing of the week is Disney on Ice. It was super nice, super fun. And the show was like a lot longer than I thought it would be. I think it was almost like 2 hours, but it really didn't feel like it. They kept us entertained back to back to back to back. Once the one act goes off, Little Mermaid is gone. Mickey and Minnie come out. All right, yeah, next guest is this. You got Goofy turns up. Like, it was cute. It was cute. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys this week. Let me know if you want more of this series, more of the Reddit stories, because there are so many more. I didn't even realize that thread was even popping like that. So again, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, hit that follow button. Rate the podcast 5 stars. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, rate the pod 5 stars and leave that review. And with that, I'm gone. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you have a great week, and I'll see you next week. Bye.